Well, welcome everybody. This is going to be the first installment of hopefully many new broadcasts to come where we're going to be covering a wide variety of topics, separate and apart for what I'm mostly known for, which is, I guess, what I've recoined as the truth movement lately. What people have come to believe is something called a free man movement, or I would say even before that, probably the law movement. For anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Dean Clifford, and I've been around for a number of years now, about 15 years, involved in what could best be described as a political movement to a road to discovery, to finding out what's wrong with this world, and the systems that are put in place to keep everybody docile and slaves and people who don't really want to buck the system. And we're going to explore some of that today. I was just talking with a number of people. They're like, "Well, Dean, what do you want to do in your first show?" And I'm not accustomed to this kind of stuff. I'm not really, believe it or not, in grade 12, I would almost pass out from having to do a book report in front of my class. So I've never been a public speaker. It's not part of my personality traits. It's something I've had to learn as people have asked me to start talking more and more to audiences around the world, try to share my experiences and why I am where I am, and why I am who I am. So that's what I wanted to start with today is just maybe going back in time. There's a lot of people out there that don't know what this movement is about. They're just kind of the average Joe that hasn't really had a chance to interact with people like us, other than what they've heard on the news about how there's crazy people out there that think, all these conspiracy theories, and we're just nuts and we're whack jobs, and everything's okay and there's nothing to see here. So that's one of the things I want to start with today is just going right back to what makes people like us become people like us. And a lot of people think that there's just really nothing kind of wrong with the world. Everything's just normal. Governments are doing what governments normally do, and police are doing what police normally do, and we're just supposed to work 9 to 5 and do what we're told and watch the news and watch football, and everything's great, and then go to bed and wake up and it's another day and you live like that for the rest of your life until you die. And there's those of us out there that have always known something's not really right with what's going on. And we started to question things a number of years ago. And the more we started to question, the more roadblocks we started to get, and people who didn't want to answer our questions, and evasiveness and threats. And the more we pushed, the more of a reaction we got. Instead of just answering our questions or telling us the truth, we just got more and bigger lies and more threats, and all sorts of of things where the government basically tries to oppress you and makes you wish you never started asking questions in the first place. And that's where I started 15 years ago. And I think that a lot of us, when we do our shows now and we're teaching seminars, we forget that a lot of people uh, don't know even the basics of why we are where we're at. And we just tend to teach with the understanding that most people have already gone down the rabbit hole, so to speak, and are kind of already on their journey to freedom, and people are looking for answers. But a better question is, why are we looking for the answers in the first place? Now, um, a lot of people, for instance, don't even know the scam that's going on with these governments. They think we should just be happy. I have people tell me all the time, "Well, Dean, look at everything you've gone through. You've gone to jail. You've lost, personal relationships. You've lost money. You've lost property. You've lost all these things, just for what you're trying to do here with this movement. Why do you do this? Why is it worth it?" And I usually just have to tell people it comes down to, at the end of the day, it comes down to freedom, um, plain and simple, and just being told the truth. I mean, if somebody just told me the truth years ago when I first started asking questions, I probably wouldn't have bothered looking in all the places that I went looking, and started doing all the research and finding out, why couldn't Canada Revenue Agency just answer a couple of simple questions instead of just trying to bludgeon me, just saying, we don't have to answer that. We're just going to come after you. We're just going to lien your houses. We're going to take you to court. We're going to charge you with evasion. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And I would say to these people and say, look, why can't you just answer a question? Why do you have to threaten me? Why do you have to come after me? Why do you have to freeze bank accounts? Why do you have to put liens on my home when all I asked you was a simple question? Just give me a simple answer. And you know what? Then at least I know. Oh, okay. Like when you ask, well, what obligates me to file and pay income taxes? Instead of answering you right away, you're threatened right away. And it's because they can't answer these questions because there is no answer to it. It turns out that because we have this, we're supposed to have freedom. We're supposed to be free from the kind of things that these governments are doing to us right now. And that's where a lot of this all started for the average person. Sometimes, you know what? I realize that things aren't that bad. If you just you just toe the party line and you live the way that they're trying to tell you to live, things aren't that bad. You can live a pretty normal life. But unfortunately, that's not good enough for people. It is for a short time. It is for some people, but there's a lot of us out there now that are realizing no, this isn't good enough anymore. Like it used to be maybe things weren't bad enough when our parents were younger. I think, the state's been encroaching more and more upon our lives in the last couple of decades, especially the last 15 years I've been involved in this. It seems you can't do anything anymore without a license. I mean, we made jokes 10 years ago that pretty soon they're going to be printing licenses on the toilet paper that we have to use, and you got to sign it before you take a crap. Like it's just it's gotten that bad now. Like the state has gotten so oppressive. You look down the United States now. If you'd been told 15 years ago they were going to force Obamacare on you, there would have been revolts in the street. There would have been riots. There would have been a revolution overnight. But over the last 15 years, incrementally they lull you into this. Well, it's not that bad. Okay, well they passed another law. It's not well. Okay, it's a little bit worse, but still, it's not enough to send me into the streets with a gun wanting to hang people. And then the following year, a couple more years, it's a little bit worse, but it's still not enough to push you the over edge. And that's where this road is going. And a lot of us have noticed first that they're using this, frog in the boiling water technique on society in general, where most of us are floating around in there. We don't really realize how bad things are getting because, again, they're just slowly cranking up the heat. And just like a frog, we don't notice until all of a sudden the water's boiling and we're dead already. And that's where it's at. So we're not satisfied with the way things are anymore. We know something is wrong. We want to do something about it. And for a long time, we didn't really know what. We didn't even really know what the problem was. We just figured that government is government. When we were born, we grew up, government was there, so this must be a normal thing in life, but it's not. Everything that we've been taught to believe is just normal. Well, yeah, you know what, you're born and that this is just the way life is, and then you die. No, it's not normal. Most of what we've been through in the 20th century is entirely new concepts that have never been on this planet before, and hopefully never will ever again. I mean, everything from the way these governments work, the false democracy that's forced on us, banking, the way the economy works right now, what they're doing to the environment. I mean, it's unbelievable what's happened on this planet in the last 100 years, and it's not getting better. People are frustrated. We don't know what to do. So we have the average everyday man and woman that's now taking to the streets and they want to go protest. They think, okay, I know what we're going to do. We're going to get millions of people together and we're going to take to the streets like our fathers did, 40 years ago, the Million Man March, and we're going to force that government to strike this law down or pass a new law preventing Monsanto from doing something because I just became aware yesterday about what GMO food is that I've been feeding my kids and my family, and that most people don't even know yet. It's still apparently a conspiracy theory. So all these kind of things that really need to get out to the general public and aren't. And part of that is the reason is because there's a very big mentality along in this movement, this law movement, the truth movement, I like to call it, the free man movement, if you want to call it that. That we tend to put a line in the sand. And it's a you're with us or you're against us, kind of mentality where you either have to be 100% on board with everything that we're doing. If you're not one of those people that just throws out all your government ID and gets rid of your driver's licenses and stops paying taxes and just jumps right into the deep end, then you're not with us and you're just as bad as everybody else. And that's also something else that has to stop that we're going to probably talk about in other shows, maybe upcoming. But we have to understand that although there's some of us on the front lines that are willing to do that kind of stuff, there's a lot of people out there that aren't willing to put themselves at risk in harm like that can still do a lot to better their lives and to help us help them. So that's some of the stuff that I want to talk about, probably in future shows, and just some common sense stuff. But for the most part, yeah, people, the general public needs to understand that, and I think they're starting to get it now, that things aren't right. There's something wrong. There's something going on here. And that's a lot to do with the law movement and what we're trying to teach with everybody. They don't realize the illusion that's all around them 24 hours a day. They don't realize that there's an illusion because they were born into it and they're living it. And when you are born into something and you live in something your entire life, you don't really know what's outside of that illusion. This is just, standard Plato's cave mentality. You've never left the cave, so you don't know what's outside the cave. And when someone comes along and says, "Hey, dude, you got to see what's outside this cave," man, you're not going to believe what's out there. I mean, I know you've been in this little dark room your entire life, but really, trust me, you got to come outside and you got to see what's really out there. You got to see what life's all about. And for the most part, we kill those people. We don't want to know what's outside the cave because then we would have to leave the cave, or we'd have to continue living in the cave for the rest of our lives, knowing what's on the outside and knowing that it's much better than what we have right now. So that's the cage of slavery. And the cage of slavery was keeping the idea of freedom from you, or making you believe you had freedom. And that's the biggest part of the illusion, the scam, is you believe you have freedom. You believe that you're free to make choices. You believe you're free to self-determine and create your own life. And you're not. It's an illusion. It's all been spun that way to make you believe that you really have some power over your life when you don't. You do, but right now you don't, in the illusion you're living in, the legal world, the scam that's going on around the world. And this is because you've been educated this way. You've been brought up to believe that government is benevolent and they just want what's in your best interest, and they're really there to save the environment and regulate things to make sure that everything's going to go good for you. And they don't have their own interests at heart, and they're not just protecting big corporations and everything. And all you have to do is vote. If you vote, then you've had your say, and democracy works, and you now have a representative, and they're going to pass laws that are good for the people, and democracy is great, and whatever law they pass obviously is going to be in the public best interest, and that's how you have your say in what goes on in your world. And that's really sad. It's really sad and really pathetic that people think that that's the only real power we have in life, is that once every 4 years we can cast a ballot for one of three. Well, in the States it's a two-party system now. Oh my God, how pathetic is that? They've even told you, oh, you've got one of two choices. So that's your freedom. Your freedom is you have one of two choices for the next 4 years on who's going to tell you what to do with your life. And that's the really sad part, that they have people believing that that's what freedom is. And then that's even what true or direct democracy is, and it's not. Even if I believe in democracy, which I don't. So I want to cover all that kind of stuff, because nobody should be happy with what's going on right now. We have banks that are running the world. We have corporations doing anything they want to. We have rogue governments that aren't really governments, they're just corporations that are attacking other countries around the world, murdering millions of people. A government that's supposed to be protecting you, that is allowing corporations like Monsanto to poison you and kill you with their food that is not food at all. And a Food and Drug Administration that is supposed to be monitoring all this, which is actually open to the highest bidder and is actually preventing real food and real medicines and real everything else from getting onto the market for you to access. So what they're doing is they're actually inhibiting competition. So again, everything that we've been led to believe that government is and that's going on in the world actually turns out to be completely the opposite. And that's the beauty, the illusion. It's actually so preposterous what's going on, that you don't want to believe it. You don't want to believe it's true because it's that bad. You don't want to leave the cave. You really don't, because it is that bad, and you would have to do something about it if you found out just how bad it is. And most people don't want to do anything. They certainly don't want to do something about what's going on. So a lot of us started to figure out this scam years ago. And one of the first things we found out was that there was, the world is full of flesh and blood men and women But that's not the world we live in. The world we live in is a legal world where governments are actually these legal entities, an artificial creation, a corporation, so to speak, and that none of us are actually recognized as men and women by these corporate governments. We were all given, for lack of a better term, a corporate identity when we were born. And we discovered that that's what the birth certificate is. 15 years ago, I was made aware of that. Other people before me were made aware of that. And they've had us living our entire lives in this whole legal fiction land. It doesn't really exist. It's an illusion. It's a fantasy. It's a realm for real. It's literally their own world. Literally, it's a legal world that we don't know anything about, but we operate in it daily, and that's why we're getting ourselves into trouble, because we have no idea that this is even going on, and so we obviously don't know how to manage ourselves properly in this world that they've created, this fake illusion that's all around us, of legalities and this belief that law is too complicated for you. You shouldn't bother learning that. You should just get a lawyer whenever you get in trouble. And of course, we're going to find out that the lawyers are right at the heart of the entire scam. They're the ones that created this fake world of legalities by getting you to operate in this system that they created without you even knowing that you've entered it. And that's part of the scam. So we're not free. We've just been led to believe we're free, and it's a very convincing illusion. It's fantastic. They almost had us all believing we were free. So why are we doing this? Well, I think we all realize that nothing is getting better out there. The pollution's getting worse. Our food's getting worse. Cancer is getting worse. Disease and sickness is getting worse. Wars are getting worse. Everything is getting worse. Debt is worse. The amount of hours you have to work every week now just to make ends meet it's worse. There is not one thing, not one, that somebody can point out to me that is getting better as a result of these alleged governments that are supposed to be our representatives. Now, so something has to be done. And it's pretty clear that the people that got us into this mess are not going to be the ones to get us out of this mess. They led us down this hole. They're the ones responsible for all this, and they're not the ones that we can go protest against and get them to change. We have to realize that change is only going to come from us. We have to, and not through voting. You can't change a system that was designed to operate the way it's operating. Now, again, we should talk about that with the average everyday person, because the system's not broken. I hear this all the time. Oh, the justice system is broken. The governments are broken. This is broken. The system, everything is broken. No, it's not broken. It was designed to operate this way. It's working exactly as it was designed to function. It is a system of slavery. It's a system of illusions. It's a system designed to make you not want to fight against this system. Again, when all you're doing is asking a simple question and you're getting threats back, that's not a very, there's something wrong with the system right there. If they can't answer questions and be honest with you and tell you honestly what's going on, then there's your first problem. The fact that they have to cover this all up. Just look at the US government. Probably 95% of what the US government does is done in secrecy, behind closed doors, and they won't answer questions. Well, what kind of a government is that? Who would want that for a government if that is a legitimate government? Nobody should want a government like that. Everything a government does should be transparent. 100% of what they do, there should be nothing in existence called a state secret because of the government. Ooh, it has to protect itself, so it has to have state secrets. Oh my God, no! Like, you want to talk about a slippery slope to tyranny and fascism? That the first state secret that the government keeps is the start of that path, and it goes downhill pretty quick from there. So the other problem is that, of course, these governments weren't created by us. We've been led to believe these governments were created by us. They weren't. They were created by really rich people who put them into place and then convinced the rest of us to join these institutions they created, which they then control us through. So this whole theory that people tell me that, well, things aren't that bad. Just keep your nose clean and life's actually pretty good. It's not. Again, there's not one thing that's improving right now. And a lot of us have had it. So really, I mean, come on, how many billions of dollars have been put into research now in cancer over the last 100 years? And cancer rates have gone from one in, I think it was 10,000 at the turn of the century, the late 1800s, the beginning of the 1900s, to today, after untold billions of dollars have gone into research for cancer. Um, Cancer rates are now 1 in 2. 1 in 2. You now have a 50-50 chance of dying of cancer right now, today. And that's all obviously for the older generation, the people that are, well, and not even, no, people are dying now under 20. Kids are dying of cancer now. It's prevalent. Cancer it's everywhere. It's not getting better, no matter how much money we throw at these pharmaceutical companies and these governments that are supposed to be finding a solution to this. So based on the cancer example, if we throw in untold billions of dollars at cancer research and government to find a cure for cancer in the last 100 years and more, 115 at least, let's say, 120 years, untold billions of dollars into cancer research, and they've managed to take us from 1 in 10,000 people possibly developing cancer to 1 in 2. That's what our untold billions of dollars has gotten us. What else are we going to get from these people after 120 years and untold billions of dollars to solve our problems? Okay, they're not solving our problem. They're the cause of all of our problems. So just like cancer, we need to look at what the causes of cancer is. We need to look at what the cause of all of our problems is, and it is these governments. It is these corporations. It is the people that are running the show, because we're not. We're just allowing them to run things, and we're going along with it because, well, I've got beer and football, and they kind of leave me alone if I keep my nose clean. And as long as I can pay the bills on Friday and buy a six-pack and maybe get high, well, life's not all that bad. No, it is that bad. You've just convinced yourself that it's not. Freedom is a concept that is so far removed from you that you don't even understand what it means anymore. You are a slave, chained up in the cotton field, picking cotton, being whipped, thinking, well, you know what? This weekend, a couple of us slaves get together and we get to do our own thing for a couple hours. So life could be worse. Okay, that's cognitive dissonance. You've detached yourself from reality into thinking that things really aren't that bad. And if I just vote next year for somebody else, they're gonna fix everything. And that's really scary that people think that. It's terrifying, in fact, that's the complacency that the general populace has actually arrived at on a whole. And it's bad enough to the point now that these same people that we're trying to wake up and help would willingly help the government kill us just to shut us up so that they don't have to listen to us point out to them just how bad things are anymore. And I've witnessed this firsthand. I've been preaching peace, do no harm. Let's make the world a better place for 15 years now. Only the last 5 have been online, and a year and a half of that, up until 9 days ago, I was in jail for nothing. A legitimate political prisoner, and we'll talk about that. But people have made comments on my videos, Dean Clifford's in jail. It's about fucking time. Thank God that that piece of shit's finally in jail. Like all these comments from people, it's just like really, like, are you actually celebrating in the torture and the oppression of your fellow man? Somebody who's done nothing except try to tell you people, look, we can make this world a better place. So that's kind of what we're up against as well. And we're probably going to talk about that in subsequent episodes, but everything is bad. And this all comes back to the banks, the governments, if you want to call them elitists behind the scenes that are all pulling the strings, these monarchies, there's these archaic institutions from a bygone era that should have died out 400 years ago, and good riddance. Every single one of these control mechanisms, starting with your public education as a child and brainwashing into believing that things really aren't that bad, and you have a say as long as you have a vote, and there's no point in doing anything else. And instead of educating yourself, if you're pissed off, you should just take to the streets and start protesting and burning things to the ground. They want you doing that, by the way. That is not a legitimate means of change. They really like it when you do that. They actually would prefer that you do that, because then they have an excuse to go and defend themselves and do things like declare martial law, turn the police force into paramilitary. Oh my God. You guys seen the new uniforms these police are wearing at protests? Like, they actually look like stormtroopers. I shit you not. Somebody sent me an email printout in a letter that I got in prison recently, and I saw even what the Canadian police are now wearing at some of these protests. They look like stormtroopers. You're waiting for fucking Darth Vader to walk out. It's unbelievable. I was like, I can't believe just how things have gone the last year and a half. It's getting that much worse. So fortunately, people are starting to wake up. And that was the road we all started down 15 years ago, when you couldn't find people like us anywhere. We were pretty far and few in between. I remember 12, 15 years ago now, approaching people that I didn't know. You just be out and you get talking to somebody. You broach the subject and say, well, people don't have to file and pay income taxes. Did you know you don't have to have a license to drive on the roads? And people would actually get mad at us right away. And they'd be like, well, you know what? If you don't want to get a driver's license, and if you don't want to pay your fair share, then, stay the fuck off our roads and quit using our hospitals, and, get out of our country and get off our land. And it's like, holy shit. Well, first of all, where do you even start with all that? They're not your roads, they're not your hospitals. This isn't your land. It's all of ours. And they've got you convinced that these societies you belong to, like the Democratic Society of Canada and the Democratic Society of the United States of America, are the only things that are permitted to exist on this land. And that's just not the case. It turns out we have all these freedoms that they don't tell us about, and for good reason, because if we all knew about these freedoms, we wouldn't be a party to any of their institutions anymore. We would leave. We would create something better ourselves. And I think that's the beauty of this system now. And for a lot of years, we had a lot of people doing research into acts and statutes and UCC and article this and article that and everything else, and trying to navigate this insane system of lunacy to try to find our way out, or to control it, or take control of our, again, what was a straw man back in the day and what we're calling the legal person now, or your trust account, and all these things. And it's just a bigger hamster wheel. They're just keeping us in the system and running longer and longer, thinking that at some point we're going to get remedy in their system. We're going to get what we're looking for. We're going to get this big payout maybe at the end of the day. We're going to be left alone. No, that's never going to happen until people get educated. You're only as free as your neighbor. That's it. You're only as free as your fellow man. Your fellow man has to be educated, period, to a basic degree of human rights, something that we're not taught in school at all. So that's more so where I especially want to concentrate over the next little while. There's all sorts of specialists out there that could tell you an awful lot more about me than the UCC, Uniform Commercial Code, and all these laws, and how to file this document with vital statistics or with the State Department and all this kind of stuff. And most of it turning out to be actually incredibly irrelevant. And a lot of people are just going right back to square one, which is just removing your consent. Just saying, you know what, I'm opting out of this system. I just want out. I don't even care for the payday at the end anymore. It's not worth the fight. I just want out, because you know what, I can build something better and be happy long before I think I'll get any remedy out of your system. Your courts are corrupt, your governments are corrupt, the corporations are corrupt, the banks are corrupt, the lawyers are pieces of shit altogether. Let's not even get into them. Any member of the law society, I don't care how benevolent or good you think they are, their loyalty is to the bar association, period. And you are scum, period. You are there just to be milked for all your worth and then discarded with when they're done. So lawyers are not your answer. Politicians are not your answer. Government's not your answer. No corporation's going to save you. Monsanto is not your savior. They're not going to feed the world. None of these institutions give a shit about you. They're not there to help you. They're certainly not going to save you. They're just going to make sure they've gotten everything they can from you before they let you die, I guess. Which is good news to the people of Canada, by the way, because while I was in jail, the Supreme Court decided you now have the right to kill yourself. Congratulations. In their system of lunacy and idiocy, you now have the right to kill yourself. Congratulations. Before that, apparently you didn't have the right to kill yourself. So I don't know if maybe they would have held a seance to bring you back to life to punish you, to charge you criminally for killing yourself. Maybe they would have imprisoned your family. I don't know. Maybe they would have fined your kids. How dare your father kill himself? So you're going to have to pay back the government $50,000 now. Good. Hey, we take payments annually. So, get back to work, get that third job that doesn't exist because everybody else is unemployed. It's it's madness. Okay, it's absolute madness. It's unbelievable what's going on in the world right now. I'm even shocked. What what we are willing to let these corporations and governments get away with. So the good news is we don't have to do that anymore. We're starting to learn our freedoms. And I notice a lot of times the first thing people want to ask is, well, where do I go to learn all this stuff? Where there's got to be a book. There's got to be, well, is there a law I can read? Is there a government statute that'll teach me my rights? Um, you're still living in the illusion, okay? Um, there is no government statute that teaches you your rights because they don't want you to have your rights. The entire purpose of statutes is to take your rights away from you. Period. There's not one thing. There's no such thing as an act or a statute, a law that a government passes that is there to protect your rights within their system. For instance, most people don't even know what a constitution is. A constitution is a restraint on government. It doesn't tell you what your rights are. It doesn't guarantee your rights. It guarantees that the government can't do certain things to you. It guarantees that the government's going to operate within a certain capacity and not interfere in your private life beyond this extent. That doesn't mean that's where you get your rights from. Again, Americans are so deluded and deceived that they don't even understand that that their government is not the government that was created by their Declaration of Independence in 1776. I mean, I'm Canadian. I know more history than most Americans. And one of the first questions I always ask Americans, and I'm not trying to be like insulting or derogatory in any way, but I always ask Americans, I say, well, okay, well, answer me a question. The United States of America was founded as a republic, correct? They say, well, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so it's a republic. So when did you start voting in democratic elections? When did it become a democracy? And they're like, well, it's a democratic republic. I'm like, what? Okay, here's the first problem. A democracy and a republic are completely opposing political ideologies. They are antithetical to one another. Just saying the word democratic republic is an oxymoron in itself. It's a meaningless phrase. There is no such thing, but they've got you convinced of this because they know you don't know any better. So they have people running around saying, oh, well, we have a democratic republic. Okay. You sound like an idiot when you say that. And again, I will tell people that the greatest day you will ever have in your life is when you wake up and you go to the mirror in your bathroom and you look at yourself and you say, I can't believe what a moron I am. I know nothing. But I'm going to change that. And I'm going to start learning new things every day and I'm going to become better. It's the greatest day. It's the most freeing day you'll ever have in your life to just acknowledge that you are a complete dumbass. Because everybody likes to think they're so smart. You're not. You're not smart. You're brainwashed and you're programmed. Everything you say is programming. You've never done the research yourself. You have no idea what you're actually saying. If you've ever said the words Democratic Republic together, believing that's a system of government, you've just confirmed you know absolutely nothing about anything. So do yourself a favor and start with that tomorrow when you get up tomorrow morning. So most Americans can't answer that and they have no idea. And I give them some resources to go look up and I say, well, why don't you do yourself a favor and go research into the District of Columbia Act and you'll find out when the American government made their own copy of the Constitution, a replica that they claim to be the author of, and they created a whole new system of government under the Congress, calling it the United States of America, where they are the authors of the Constitution now, the new Constitution of 1871 under the District of Columbia Act, where Washington, D.C. came from. And you now had a democracy under Congress instead of a republic under the people. And then Congress actually adjourned, signed, die, never to be reconvened under the Constitution ever again, and you have not had a legitimate republic since 1871. Okay, that's over 140 years of lies. And you don't know it because your grandfather's grandfather's grandfather grew up under this lie. It's been prevalent so long now in the system, and that's just the United States. It took them that long. It took them from 1776 until 1871 to get enough lawyers into Congress, after lawyers were allowed into the United States again, by the way, I might add, after they were banned from the 13 colonies because everybody knew what scumbags and pieces of shit they all are. So it took them that long to deceive the people again and to bring them back into their system of slavery. It didn't require that in Canada because we've actually never been free in Canada. We've always been under the monarchy that doesn't exist anymore. So it was a pretty quick transition for us. But now we're all starting to discover these concepts. So the information's all out there for people to learn. So we need to understand that democracies are not good. Even if they function the way they're supposed to, they're not good. It is mob rule. A democracy is actually an absence of law. It means that we don't respect human rights, and I don't even like the word human rights. We don't respect the rights of a man. We don't respect fundamental freedom. We are so smart, we know better. We're going to pass all our own new laws that completely circumvent people's freedoms and rights because we can do better. We can make a better society by removing and depriving people of their rights and freedoms. So anybody that's researched into it, here's the difference between a republic and a democracy, and right away you're going to realize that you can't have something called a democratic republic. It's an impossibility. In a democracy, you have mob rule. You have the will of the people overrules any possible rights and freedoms that an individual could have for the greater good of that society. It means that 51% decide what the other 49% will do, regardless of what their existing and inherent absolute rights and freedoms of a man are. So if you belong to that society, you don't have any rights or freedoms, period. You have Napoleonic law. You have the rights and freedoms that are given to you by way of legislation that can be changed at any time without notice to you, and you're expected to know every single law on the books, and ignorance is no excuse. If you don't know one of the 11 billion laws they've passed and you violate one, ignorance is not an excuse. You should know it, and you go to jail no matter what. So that's what a democracy is. It's a wonderful, wonderful concept they invented. If you're a scumbag and you want to enslave people. Now, a republic, on the other hand, in a republic, the rights of the individual supersede everything. It means you have inherent, inalienable, absolute rights that cannot be taken from you as an individual, no matter what. Doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter if 11 billion people have decided that we're going to govern ourselves in this manner. They cannot force their puke onto you because your rights are supreme and absolute. And that was the beauty of the foundation of the Republic created in 1776, and why they had to get rid of it in 1871, which they did. It's been buried, it's gone. It's still there, but it's the house that nobody lives in. Everybody recontracted and resided within the new democracy, the illusion, the corporate fiction, the legal land that doesn't really exist except on paper, and you left all your rights. People need to understand that when you become a member of a society, you've become incorporated into that society. And incorporation is a really simple concept. It means that if you take eggs, milk, and flour, and sugar, and you put those 4 individual unique ingredients into a bowl, you incorporate them into a bowl and you mix them all up together. Once you've mixed it all up together, you get a whole new thing. You get, well, basically pancake batter, right? So once those 4 unique individuals have been incorporated together, they all have the same attributes now, the same consistency. They're all pancake batter. There is no longer flour, eggs, milk, and sugar. There's pancake batter. They're indistinguishable from one another. They are now pancake batter. They've been incorporated together. They're now a part of a whole, indistinguishable from one another. And that's what happens when you join a democratic society. So you're no longer an individual. Individualism does not exist in an incorporated democracy. Just the whole. You're just one part of a whole. You're a scoop of pancake batter now, like a teaspoon. You know, you make a big bowl of pancake batter, you scoop a big ladle of it out to make a pancake, you've got a pancake, right? So your attributes as to what you were before are gone. You give those up when you become a member of a larger institution that has that has its own constitution now. And you realize that's actually where the word constitution comes from as well. What is the constitution of pancake batter? Well, it's runny. It makes pancakes. It has certain attributes as pancake batter. So that's what the constitution, the makeup of pancake batter is. So these terms are not difficult to understand. You don't need a lawyer. You just need a rudimentary knowledge of what words are that we're not really taught to understand. So that's what happens with the existing governments that we've got. So you're born free. There's these universal concepts of freedom out there that people are not taught about in school for good reason, because you're born free. You're born with inherent rights and freedoms. And the word inherent means it's part of you. It's there. It's something that can't really be disputed. No different than your arm. My arm is inherent to my body. It's an arm. It's attached to me right now. So an inherent right is something that cannot be removed from you without making you different than what you were before, incomplete, less whole. It lessens you. It changes you. It changes your constitution. It makes you not what you were before. Okay, so that's what inherent means. It just cannot be taken away from you without harming you, for lack of a better explanation. So you can't be harmed. You've been harmed if somebody attempts to do that to you. No different than if somebody tried to cut off my arm. So they had to trick you. They had to trick you into not wanting to be an egg or flour or sugar anymore and becoming part of their pancake batter, where you then have the constitution of pancake batter, which is their society. So you have the constitution of their society now, all the attributes of their society. You decided to abandon your rights and freedoms over there, and you now have to do whatever that society tells you is for the greater good of that society. If that means that your house, your home, your property, and your labor would be best suited by being pledged to them, then they own it. And they actually do own it anyways the minute you become incorporated into society. You're just allowed to maintain possession of something that actually legally belongs to somebody else. This includes your body, by the way, for people that don't know that. Let's go back to the founding fathers of the United States. They pledged their life, their liberty, their property, their honor, their reputation, their wealth, everything. They pledged to this new nation that they had created. And when you pledge something to an organization, that means you don't own it anymore. It's owned by the greater whole. That includes your body. So these democratic societies that we belong to now, that we've been tricked into believing that we actually joined, which we didn't, own our bodies and our labor. And what we are allowed to keep from our own labor is out of the goodness of that society, right? So it's not more of it's kind of a reverse onus now, whereas the Income Tax Act says that you must pay X amount of dollars to this society because you pledged your life, your honor, your reputation, your wealth, everything to this society. Really, what they're saying is we're allowing you to keep the other part. We could take all that too, and then just give you a welfare check or bring you soup once a day, because really we own everything. So we only want 30%. We're gracious enough to let you keep the other 70%, so you think you have some freedom, which you don't. So that's the difference between the republic and the democracy. You don't even own your own body anymore, and that's where the slavery comes in. And voting doesn't change this because, as you've all probably become aware, since especially Obama, big change when Obama's getting in. Yep, he's gonna fix the republic that doesn't exist anymore. He's gonna change everything. He's gonna push the reset button, and all of a sudden all property rights are going to be restored. You're going to be allowed to start keeping rainwater again, which is now illegal in the United States. You're going to be able to start growing organic food again, which you can be arrested for in the United States. All this absolute shit is going to be fixed by Obama. Well, no, you got Obamacare, and you've got, I think your debt's doubled. 5 new wars with 5 different nations that didn't deserve to be bombed back into the Stone Age. You got worse than what you had before. So we can't vote this to change. Why? Well, let's just do some simple math here. Let's take Canada, for example. In Canada, we have, I think, 35 million people. Less than 60% of people voted in the last federal election because people just don't give a shit anymore, because they know that things are fucked. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter who you vote for. No one does anything anyways, so none of the young people are voting anymore. So just less than 60% of the people vote. So if in a country of 35 million people over the age of 18, let's say there's 30 million people, which I doubt is that high. Let's say even 25 million people that actually are of the age to vote. Now, 60% of 25 million, what would that be? That would be about maybe 15 million people. So now 15 million people vote. The party that won the last election got maybe 30% of the vote. So when 15 million people vote and the party that wins gets 30% of that vote, what do we have now? We probably got about, what, 5.5 million people. I'm just doing some rough math in my head. So the party that won and put Stephen Harper into office, they got 5.5 million votes out of a country of 35 million people. So really, we're not being told what to do by 51% of the population. We're being told what to do by 5 into 35 million. What is that? What is that? Is that even 20%? Is that 15%? That's probably 15%. I don't have a calculator on me. So a very small percentage of the population that actually had their member win the election is actually now telling the rest of the country what to do. So now let's take that a little bit further. Do any of these politicians actually do what their constituents have voted them into office to do? And the answer to that is a pretty resounding no. They don't do anything. Their campaign promises, that's the biggest joke going in the news and the media, and that's why they have to make light of it. They make jokes about it now so that you think it's funny as well, that they don't ever live up to their campaign promise. Not once, never, nothing. They don't do anything you actually voted them into office to do. So after we get down to 15% of the country telling the other 85% of the people what to do, it turns out that it's actually none of those people, because the politicians do whatever the fuck they want anyways, because they're all lawyers. They're all fucking lawyers, and they're lying to you, and they don't do anything that you've asked them to do anyways. Why would you continue to take part in a system that I just described? Why would anybody have faith in that system? Why would anybody take part in a system like that? Why would anybody even consider it legitimate or give any credibility to a system like that? You can't. But there's no other option, apparently. People just, well, what can you do? You can't fight the system. You can't do this. You can't do that. Well, that doesn't cut it anymore, because things are getting bad. Look what's going on in Canada now, land of the free. As a man who just spent 16 months in jail in the biggest shithole they could find in Manitoba for no reason, I can tell you right now, we have some fucking problems in this country. Okay? I've been there. I know what's going on. They tried to shut me up. They're not going to shut me up. Okay? I got visited once in jail. I was told maybe I should just cut out what I'm doing. Maybe I should just stop what I'm doing, and I could probably live a normal life when I get out. Yeah, sure. Normal, eh? When? Until they come and they put a water meter on my own well at my own farm, right? Live a normal life. Yeah, right. So they really don't like us bucking the system and pointing out just how bad things really are. So if you don't get an idea of how bad things really are after the description I just gave there, then we have bigger problems than just this fake system. I don't know if maybe people just have completely given up or they're just completely hopeless. I hope not, because we're going to be here to give people hope again, because there is change coming. The people are starting to wake up. It's happening a lot now. I started to get pretty disappointed and pretty, boy, like 5 years ago, I was like, man, like, what is it going to do to wake people up? And fortunately, this system has just gotten so bad now that people are just, everybody's sick and tired of it. Everybody's had a loved one die of cancer. Everybody's watched a loved one suffer while they're dying of cancer. Everybody's seen the videos, and if they haven't seen the videos, go online, look these up. Look at the pictures of what happens to a 4-year-old child when you give them chemotherapy. And for the low price of $50,000 to poison a baby and watch it become bloated and discolored and die from being given a poison to cure it, allegedly, of cancer. That's the best that 140 years of $11 billion in research can give us, is giving poison to babies that kills them to try and treat cancer, when really it's just our lifestyle combined with a lack of proper knowledge of medicine. And there's all these videos out there of parents that have cured their kids and removed them from the hospital just by giving them marijuana oil. And then those parents, when they try to go online or try to go public and say, yeah, it's true, we gave our child 3 rounds of chemotherapy that just about killed our baby. We saw this video online, so we injected our baby with some of this, the marijuana oil in the hospital, and our 4-year-old daughter started eating again, and the effects of the chemotherapy started going away. And 2 months later, she was able to come home, and then we left the hospitals as quickly as possible, and now our child is fine. So a year later, we're coming forward to tell everybody this, so that nobody else has to watch their baby suffer and die. And those people are fucking locked up by this government, saying, what? You gave marijuana oil to a baby? You're a horrible parent. How dare you? You're supposed to give them chemotherapy. You're supposed to poison them to death instead of giving them marijuana oil. That's fucked up. There is something wrong with that when people would willingly throw parents in jail for trying to give their child the appropriate remedy to something like cancer, because marijuana oil is bad. Because hippies smoke it. But we have no real research to prove that marijuana oil is bad in other way, other than it makes you hungry and sends you on a bit of a trip. So we're just going to give children mustard gas instead, which is what most chemotherapy is. It's all liquid mustard gas in a pill. So that's insane. Okay, that is absolutely batshit fucking crazy insane. There's something wrong with that, and we need to fix all that. So there is hope out there. We're coming up with all these solutions. And the information for all you people out there that thought that us conspiracy theorists were crazy, they really, really don't want you to do the research yourself. A lot of times, we're not even telling you that we're right in what we're saying. We're telling you to at least go do the research yourself. Just do it. If you think we're crazy, fine. But go do the research yourself. You'll see that this stuff is not crazy. The pharmaceutical companies, the governments, the corporations, the banks, they all really want you to stay a slave to their system, because they live off of this. They feed off of you. They feed off of the suffering of your children. They feed off of your sicknesses that they give you with all the pop and soft drinks you're eating, and the terrible diets that they give you from Monsanto and from the other corporations. They're also feeding you crap. So they're feeding you crap in the news. They're feeding you crap in the grocery stores. You literally are a mushroom. You are in the dark. They're feeding you shit. You're a mushroom. And when they're done with you, they kind of hope you die when you got nothing left. I've witnessed this myself. My own mother died as a victim of the pharmaceutical companies, because our dad would not listen to myself and my brother. And it's his opinion that, no, these people are doctors. They know better. They're trained. They went to school for 8 years, so they must know. This illusion that these people are educated, therefore they know better. That's a component of the illusion that people need to, when you're looking around for what this illusion is, That's another part of it, is the belief that these people are smarter than you. They know better than you. You should listen to them instead of your own conscience. You should listen to them instead of your own common sense. Because a lot of times this is done contrary to people's common sense, even because we believe that these people know better, that they're smarter than us. Well, he graduated medical school and I didn't. So he must be smarter than me. He must know. Well, that lawyer, man, he can talk. You should listen to this guy talk. You should hear what comes out of this guy's mouth. I don't have a hope in hell of understanding what that guy just said. He must be smarter than me. He went to law school. I couldn't graduate law school. He must be smarter than me. So he must know. He must know the law. The reality is, none of these people know any better. They don't. When you hear a lawyer that sounds like he's smart because they're saying a lot of big words, what they're saying is nonsense. It's complete nonsense. You could write down a sentence that a lawyer says and go look up all the words and go figure out what he just said, and you're going to find out it's actually nonsensical idiocy. It's circular stuff that means nothing to make you believe that something is actually going on in the courtroom when nothing is going on in the courtroom. They're used car salesmen. They're there to make you think that you got the best deal. Man, look at that car you bought with all that money. God damn, is that a good car? When it's a lemon. That's what a lawyer is. That's what the legal industry is. It's there to make you believe you got a good product at a real steal of a deal. Well, unfortunately, here's the problem with that. The cause of all these problems are the lawyers, and they want you to turn to the lawyers for the solution. So it's no different than me having a window company that installs windows in houses. And if I hired one of my workers to go around throwing rocks through people's windows and then left my business card in the mailbox, that's what the lawyers are. That's what the legal system is. The lawyers that you vote into office believing that they're going to pass laws that help you, pass laws that you have no idea what they mean in the first place, and that they tell you what to do with your life, and they make laws that are impossible to not break. It's impossible to not break laws they passed. And they do that so you get charged. And then once you're charged, you have to go to one of their lawyers who's also a member of the Law Society to get you off. Because you're going to be prosecuted by a lawyer, a member of the Law Society, and you're going to be defended by a lawyer who's a member of the Law Society. And where do you think that judge came from? Oh, yes, he's also a member of the Law Society. So, and they actually have you believing that real law is taking place in that courtroom, and you're actually going to get a fair hearing for the low price of $25,000, $50,000, $100,000. I have no idea how much people spend on lawyers these days. Some Hollywood people, they spend $500,000 on a lawyer just for like drunk driving charges. Like who knows? It's lunacy. There's something very wrong, and that's what we're trying to wake people up to. And it's no different with the pharmaceutical companies and agribusiness. The same people that own the pharmaceutical companies that are treating you for all your illnesses are the same people that own all the ag businesses and the grocery stores and the food companies that are selling you the poison that's making you sick in the first place. So they create the problem, and they also are the solution. Because just like you don't know the law and you don't know your rights and you don't know the lies that's being told to you, you don't know the illusion, you don't even know what proper nutrition is anymore. You've been told what proper nutrition is. When I said you should wake up tomorrow morning and look in the mirror and just admit to yourself that you are a dumbass, I meant that, because I've been there and I'm still a dumbass. We're all still learning, because we were programmed from birth to be dumbasses, to be completely reliant on dependent on a system that is designed from the start to create every problem we have in life and then be the solution, the alleged solution to every problem we have in life as well. Well, what's your problem? Well, government's my problem. Well, government will be the solution then. We'll fix that problem. No, you are the problem. Okay? The same company's feeding you and then curing you of the diseases you get from that food is going to help you. You believe that. You believe that the lawyers that created the laws that got you allegedly into trouble in the first place for doing nothing are also going to be the people that are then going to save you. You believe all this because you've been programmed to believe all this. The news tells you to believe all this because we're the crazy ones for pointing it out to you. So that's the stuff that we're going to cover all these topics in upcoming shows. A lot of people do already, but I really like to kind of level things out and bring it down to kind of a common denominator here for the masses, just to let everybody know, yeah, it really is that bad, and we do have solutions. I didn't really have much of a platform for today. This was just going to be ad lib and just, flying by the seat of my pants. We'll just see where it goes talk, because among other things, that's what people really love when I do, because I just go all over the place and we get into topics. And when I'm not scripted, we go some fun places. We do have a guest tonight there. Peter's just been standing by the whole time listening. He's got his own show, so he talks enough as it is. But we're going to bring him up. We're going to bring him in here a little bit anyways, because he probably would have maybe some direction he wants to give me as to what we're going to talk about. For the most part, he's just listening right now. And in future shows, though, we're going to bring in guests. I know one of the benefits of becoming a little bit of a political figure over the last 5 years, and very, very public, which is something I never wanted to be, by the way, is that I've gotten to know a great deal of people, and a whole lot of people around the world who are experts in their field. And if they're not experts, they're at least well known in their field. And if they're not well known in their field, they're at least very outspoken in their field. And any one of those qualities and attributes are just, I'm a big fan of that. I like anybody that just wants to get out there and come on, let's do something. Let's change this world. Let's build something better. We're supposed to be stewards here. We're supposed to make this a better place for our children. Let's start doing that and stop leaving that responsibility with the people trying to kill us. So I really got to know a lot of people all across the spectrum. I mean, all across the spectrum. So anything from UFOs to history to you name it, health, nutrition, law, everything. I've really kind of tried to immerse myself into a number of things, trying to just to get a general basic knowledge of what's really going on here on this planet, just how lied we are to. Other history, man, you people think that the history you read in history books is what actually happened on this planet? Wow. No, when every piece of every fossil they dig up, every ruin that they've uncovered, all these archaeological wonders around the world that have been uncovered, that haven't been attacked and repressed by the existing established historical societies and archaeological societies, disproves everything that we are taught about history on this planet. Like, I mean, to an unbelievable degree, which is another concept new people should really understand, that that's one of the tactics that's used in the illusion. Is they usually they go out of their way to make sure that the truth is actually so far from what you've been told that it makes you think, no, that's too preposterous. That can't be the truth. Who would tell that big of a lie? But that's the way the human mind works. The human mind works and says, no, nobody would tell a lie that big. It's impossible for that to be the truth. It's got to be closer to what these guys are telling us. They would only change history slightly. That's what people do, right? When you're going to tell a lie, just mostly truth, but skew it a little bit this way, and no, that's how they're lying to us. No, they have actually invented history outright, completely, to the point where you wouldn't believe the truth if somebody put it right in front of you, but that is the truth. And all these archaeological wonders around the world are all the proof you need of that. And we're going to talk about that kind of stuff, which is the one I like in Lebanon. Geez, I'm going to think of it coming up. I get brain farts sometimes. I can't remember all the names of all these archaeological wonders around the world, but things that make the pyramid look like some kid just had fun with Lego on the weekend. Like the pyramids, the Great Pyramids of Egypt are not the archaeological wonders of this world. Again, compared to some of the other wonders around the world that they really don't like to talk about, the pyramids are a Lego project over the weekend that some kid did. So there's all sorts of things out there that they really don't want you to know about. Baalbek in Lebanon. If you want to see something that can't be explained at all, ever, Baalbek are the ruins you want to go and look up a photo of and a description of online to prove that something's not right. Something's not quite right with what we're being taught. So history, we're going to talk about all of it. And another reason is because unless you have a more complete picture of things, unless you know where you came from, what your roots are, what the history of your people are, what your people fought and died for over the last 10,000 years, you can't really know what law is. You can't really know what your rights and freedoms are, and you can't really know why you should be fighting for your rights and freedoms, as if I haven't just covered enough as to why you should know what your rights and freedoms are. If we can't be free to grow our own food, then what are we here for? If I can't grow a garden and give away some of my excess food to a few of my neighbors without going to jail, we don't have even the remote, we don't have a particle of freedom where we live if we can't just have a garden and give away some of our excess organic food. And I bring this up because this has happened. Even before I went to jail 3 years ago, there was a gentleman in the United States who had his own organic garden and was giving away extra food to people, and he was arrested and put in jail because he was affecting the profit margin of some corporation somewhere. You can't give away free organic food to people. That's just not allowed in a democratic society. So the sooner the people realize that what we believe to be a government is actually a control mechanism that is put in place to be market protection or monopoly protection for corporations so that we don't affect their profits, the better off we're all going to be. That is the biggest illusion. You don't have freedom. You don't have freedom of anything. What we believe to be governments are not governments, they are corporations. And they are put in place to safeguard their parent corporations, to make sure that you can't come up with a better product at a better price and compete with them. They want you to file patents or get involved in their system, or to spend all this money in their system trying to do things when you can't compete anyways. They've seen to that. Even if a new pharmaceutical company started up and developed a new drug that actually cured somebody, which will never happen, the amount of money they would have to generate to get the testing required to become approved is out of the reach of anybody. It's tens upon tens of millions of dollars, as Dr. Brzezinski found out when he came up with his angioplasty. I think it's angioplasty. I can't even remember what the hell it's called. It's not my field, but so he came up with an actual medicine that had fantastic results with cancer, and they did everything they could to keep him out of being able to market his product through their system because they don't want you cured. Let's get this straight. They don't want you cured. There is a saying in the pharmaceutical industries at the very top of the corporate ladders: a customer cured is a customer lost. Okay. They're going to maintain your illness or your sickness or your disease to keep you dependent on their drugs as long as possible for their profit margin until you die. That's the entire point of the pharmaceutical industry the way it is today. Years ago, when I came out and started saying stuff like this, and I wasn't being even near as blunt as I am right now, I was told back in the day, man, they're going to kill you. They're going to shoot you for saying stuff like this because, yeah, let's pretend that what you're saying is the truth. They're going to kill you. And I was kind of worried about that for a few years. I was kind of like, well, I don't really want to die. I mean, the whole point of everything I'm doing is so I can live in peace finally and just enjoy my life. But I really got over that after a couple of years and realized, you know what? Fuck them. I don't care. You know what? I'm going to die one day anyways. You know what? When I die, I want to at least be proud that I did something right on this planet before I died. Right? I'm not going to let this place become a bigger shithole. I'm not going to help them make it a bigger shithole because I'm afraid of death. I'm going to fucking die anyways. So you know what? Man up and die doing something right. And so I've done that. I don't care. It kill me. I don't give a shit. I'm going to die one day anyways. I'd like to have a family and kids first. But you know what? I'd rather do something right before all of that. Something I can be proud of. Why would I want to have a kids and a family just so they can, after I die, say, you know what, Dad, why didn't you do something about this world before you left? You left us a shithole that we got to fix now. Like, look at how bad things are. There's fucking radiation all over the place. Nuclear power plants blowing up all over the place, irradiating everything. Monsanto's killed everything. We got Agent Orange in all our food now. We got mutants all over the place. Everybody's dying of fucking cancer. Everybody's got a disease. If you even think about speaking up for yourself, your teeth are kicked in, you're thrown in jail. You gotta have a license to take a shit. Like, look where the world is today. I can't do that. It's just, maybe it's just me. I don't know. So we're speaking out about it now. And fortunately, things are getting better and people are starting to smarten up and wake up and say, yeah, you know what? We got to do something. Unfortunately, they're just taking their frustrations out in the wrong venues. So we're going to straighten that over the next little while too, for whoever will listen. We're going to get people to stop protesting. We're going to get people to start educating themselves. We're going to get people to start blaming themselves first before they blame government. You are the problem. Okay. Government's not the problem. You are the problem. Because when you start to do your research, you're going to find out you are the government. So you are the problem. So that's one of the big concepts people have to understand. If you have a representative, if you voted for a representative in the government, that man or woman is you when they're in that role of office, whether or not it's the guy that you voted for that won. The guy that won is you. So that is you making all the laws because you gave them full blanket general power of attorney to act as you, to pass laws as you, for you to follow. So this is the great part about their scam. They got you to tell you what to do. And then they're the ones enforcing it and profiting from it. And that's just how conniving and disgusting and really pathetic these people are. I've heard people call the system ingenious before. It's not. Now, what's the word for evil genius again? I can't remember. There's a word for evil genius, but that's what it is. And it's not good, and it's not getting better. So we got to fix this stuff. We can't have, with all the technologies available to us today, we can't have nuclear power plants being built anymore. It's preposterous to have. You know what? Maybe if we want to support the way society is now, because everybody in the southern United States wants to be running the air conditioner 24 hours a day while they watch 7 different TVs in 7 bedrooms of a 10,000 square foot house with 5 kids playing video games in different rooms, and just the power consumption needs of this consumer society is sickening. It's out of control. It's preposterous. We don't need it. We're told that we need these things. We need all this materialistic stuff. We have to be consumers to drive the economy, or the economy will collapse. That's preposterous. You cannot have an economy that's based on perpetual growth. It's an impossibility. At some point, it collapses, or you are just left with a blackened, charred planet that used to have life on it. One of the two is going to happen. So we need to realize that before things get much worse. How great is that? This network is called the Conscious Consumer Network. That's exactly right. We need to become conscious consumers, informed consumers, well-educated consumers. Because right now, you are a retarded consumer. You are stupid. You're a moron. I'm there. I'm still there. I was there. I'm just a little bit less retarded than the rest of you. I don't mind admitting that. But we'll get there. Our kids are going to become better than us. We're going to fix this place. But we need to become conscious consumers, better consumers, educated consumers, knowledgeable consumers, making correct choices and saying, no, I don't need that shit. And it is shit. We don't need it. I thought it would make my kids happy, but it turns out that when I don't buy them the newest game system on the market, they spit on me, call me a fucking asshole, and then call Child Family Services on me because apparently that's now child abuse to not buy them the newest video game on the market, right? That's where us as government have gotten us. This is why we should never listen to us, by the way, because the existing rights and freedoms that we have as men and women are absolute, and technically even we can't remove it, right? It was made idiot proof. So we had to deceive ourselves to remove all the rights and freedoms. So we have to stop being consumer whores. And that's what we are right now. We are consumer whores. They're whoring us out. They're whoring our lives in the most destructive manner possible. And we're the ones paying all the bills. Remember that. We are paying for everything that we are doing to ourselves. We want to live on soft drinks and GMO foods and then blame everybody else but ourselves when we get cancer, and then demand that the government find a cure for our poor choices in life and for our overconsumption and our lifestyle. So we want to blame everybody else. And that's why I say that waking up and admitting that we're the problem is the best thing you can do for yourself from the get-go. Just wake up and just do it tomorrow morning. Just look in the mirror and just admit, I'm a fucking moron. So, and then start over, clean slate, educate yourself, and start blaming yourself. And that way, when you get screwed and you die of cancer, you can, have nobody to blame but yourself because I didn't get involved with the people out there that are trying to make a change. I didn't do something. Um, we don't want you to go out protest. We don't want you to fight the IRS tomorrow. We don't want you to throw away your driver's license or start your own news organization on the internet spreading the word. By all means, do it. We don't want you to make yourself a target and put your children at risk and put your family at risk. But you know what? There is something everybody can do on a small level. That's what grass movements are, grassroots movements. Shopping habits, okay? Just becoming educated on what you should eat. And shopping habits is a start that everybody can get into. These are shows that I want to have. We're going to pick topics. We're going to go through all this. We're going to show you the illusion with the birth certificate, the corporate fiction version of you, the artificial person, the abstract construct of world that they've created out of legalese that doesn't really exist on the land. It really is a make-believe world, and you're an actor. You are acting. They got you to act for a character in a world they created, just like a Hollywood movie. Now, this world has supernatural things in it. Anything that an actor or statue can create, this world has. Doesn't matter how preposterous it is, this world they created is created from acts and statues, just like a script in a Hollywood movie. And so they gave you a character when you were born, and that's the birth certificate ID. And as long as you act for this character, you have the attributes and the characteristics of the role you're playing. And that role, that character, is created by the acts and statutes of their realm, their little world. So it's controlled by that world completely. And as long as you're acting for it, you are recognized as it. You're indistinguishable from it. You're now pancake batter. You don't have the attributes you had before because you're playing a role. They've been your freedoms, your rights have been buried beneath a mask, a persona, which is where the word person comes from. All these laws, they only talk to persons. They talk to a persona. The persona is the Hollywood mask you're wearing, the actor's uniform. That's what the person is. And they've got they got you to grow up your whole life believing you are it instead of acting for it. And when you act for it, you're responsible. That's what the word liable means. The word liable, when we say you're liable for what you do when you're acting for that character, just means you're responsible. You're the surety. You're the one that's going to pay the bills for breaking script, for not acting the way an actor statute tells you to act when acting for that role, that character. So you're going to go to jail. The character goes to jail. The actor goes to jail with it because you're the actor acting as it. So that's what the scam is in a nutshell. It gets no more complicated than that. We could overcomplicate it. I could bring people on that know this way better than me and that'll use language that will just baffle you and you'll go, holy shit, that guy knows what he's talking about. But I'll tell you right now, just you don't need to learn all that because that is the scam. And beyond that, you don't need to know anything more than, well, I don't want to be a part of that anymore. I just don't want to be a part of that anymore. I don't want to be a character in a democratic society created by the District of Columbia Act of 1871, subject to their rules and regulations, contrary to my existing rights and freedoms. I want to go back to source. I want to be me. I want to be a real man, flesh and blood, with all my inalienable, absolute, perfect rights under the Constitution that created a republic that respects the right of the individual. I want to go back to being eggs. I don't like pancake batter anymore. And you can be. You just got to take off the persona. And once you do that, when you take the mask off, you take the character off and say, thank you. you know what? I just became aware of the fact that this is the scam you guys have been pulling on me, and I don't want to be a party to it anymore. I'd like to leave. Thank you. I wish to leave. It's the right to say no. The right to say, the right to not be associated with a society or an institution. These are international, internationally recognized covenants and laws that say you have the right to not be part of something. You have the right to be recognized as a legal person, but that also means you have the right to not be recognized as a legal person. And I choose that. I have the freedom of choice. So you made it look like I chose to be one of these legal persons for the last, I don't know, 50 years of my life, 20 years, however long I've been deceived and deemed competent when I turned 18 or sooner. But now that I know what's going on, I'm choosing to leave. I'm choosing to reclaim my rights. I'm choosing to make the world a better place. I'm choosing to get involved. I'm choosing to shop better. I'm choosing to not put soft drinks in the house anymore, even if my kids get mad at me because it's going to give them cancer as much as they're going to bitch and complain and whine about it, right? And I'm choosing to educate my kids so they know why they shouldn't want pop and soft drinks and all these other absolutely grotesque things that people should never put in their bodies. So it's about choice, is what this comes down to, and choosing how you're going to live your life, and choosing to educate yourself, and choosing your family, and choosing your well-being over this other nonsense, and not being caught up in what Hollywood and TV is telling you your life should be, and living a life that's so awful that you have to escape it by watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians every night to see what they're doing. Okay, you're living their life. You're not living your own when you're drooling in front of the TV for 4 hours a night because you don't know what else to do. You don't know there's all these things out there for you to do, to learn, to get involved in, and that's what I'm really hoping. That's, man, 16 months in jail. I come out. I haven't even been out 9 days, and already technology, poof, it's gone through the roof. And we got organizations now like this Conscious Consumer Network that allows us to have our own TV now, just as good as CNN. We're going to be able to produce things just as good as CNN. I have my own website that we're going to be bettering that now. It kind of my guys that kept my website afloat. I'm not sure how many people want their names being mentioned, but they kept my website afloat so we could try to keep the information out to people while I was a political prisoner in jail. And I do say political prisoner, and I'll cover that in a second here. But we're trying to get the information out to people. We're not being helped. We're really being stomped out by the mainstream media, the government. Everybody else is trying to silence us. So everybody that's out there that wants to forward things to family and friends, shows like this where we're just kind of explaining things to people. I'm not talking about UFOs. I'm not talking about reptilians enslaving the human race. I'm not talking about uh, anything that is a little bit more what people consider to be out there. This is just stuff that the average everyday Joe could first get immersed in and just start to wet their toes as to what's really going on this planet. And I want to stick to a lot of that kind of stuff in the upcoming shows. So we're going to do that. But now we can compete with the mainstream media. We can bring people what they want uh, in just as good quality, which is fantastic. And we don't make our news up. We don't hire actors to go out and hold fake um, protests in foreign countries to make you believe that there's protests in a foreign country that don't really exist, like they tried to do in the last elections in Russia, where they played a continuous stream of protests that they told you was anti-Vladimir Putin protests, but it turned out to be protests from Greece a year and a half before to do with the austerity measures. They're lying to you, and it's not hard to look that up. And once you realize they're lying to you, and they're always lying to you, then you should start to maybe not believe everything they're telling you and do your own research, and then we'll point you in the right direction. So let's talk on a political prisoner real quick here. So a lot of people, oh no, Dean was actually charged with real crimes. He wasn't a political prisoner. He was actually charged with violations of statutes. A political prisoner is only somebody who goes and with a bullhorn and is at a protest and speaks his mind about against some law the government passed, and to silence him, they threw him in jail without charge. That's what a political prisoner is. No. Let me educate you on what a political prisoner is. According to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, I have the freedom of political choice to be a member of a political organization of my choosing. That doesn't mean I have the choice between the NDP or the Liberals or the Democrats or the Republicans or the PCs or whatever other piece of shit garbage political party runs for election in a political organization, a political institution. It means I have the right to leave that institution altogether and say, no, I want to self-determine. In fact, that is what Article 1 is about, is the right of self-determination. The right to say, no, I'm not going to be your actor anymore. I'm not going to be a character in your world. I'm not going to be a member of your political institution anymore, your democratic society, your realm, your world, your whatever it is you want to call it. I'm done. I'm out, and I'm going to go and live my life in peace as a man with my inherent and inalienable rights, and I just want to be left alone. As long as I'm not harming anybody and I'm living in accordance with the law of the land, which means I'm not harming anybody, I have my own business, doing my own thing, enforcing my rights, just leave me alone. I don't want to be part of you anymore. Now, when that institution continues to come after you and says, no, you don't have the right to leave, we're going to force you to be a member of our institution, we're going to force our acts and statutes on you, we're going to force you to be recognized as a character or persona you don't want to be recognized as, that is what a political prisoner is. They have imprisoned you in their institution, and they're not letting you leave anymore. They're saying, no, you are going to be a member of our democratic society. You are going to play a role of this character. You are going to obey the acts and statutes that govern the life of this character. You do not have the right to leave and self-determine and potentially even create your own new government with a group of like-minded people who want to self-govern and self-determine. You don't have that right. We're going to force our bullshit on you. That is what a political prisoner is. They have politically imprisoned you within their political institution. And that is an international crime. But they're doing it. They did it to me. I just spent 16 months in jail for nothing. I'm unconvicted. I will never be convicted unless at their next kangaroo court they do convict me and find me guilty of the facts, which they just might. It doesn't mean I've done anything wrong. So everybody can say hi to Teresa. I'm commandeering her office right now. So, but that's what a political prisoner is. So charging somebody with something that is not really a crime under the law of the land, but is a crime within their political institution, one of their acts and statutes, their Hollywood script, still qualifies as a political prisoner because I chose to leave all that years ago. And they don't want to let me out. They don't want to let any of you out because once one cow makes it out the gate, the rest of the cows see there's an open fence and they realize how shitty the pen that they're in is. Man, what are we doing in this little fenced in area where they throw hay in us every once in a while when there's a green pasture outside that door? And holy shit, look, Dean just found a door. We can all leave with him and go up to that pasture out there and be in the sunlight and eat grass and chill out and relax and enjoy ourselves. And we don't have to deal with this farmer anymore. They don't like that because we all will leave because their institutions are shit. They are garbage. They're the worst fucking things mankind could ever possibly conceive of. And any of us, a 2-year-old child, could build a better system. I've had people tell me many times, well, if you don't like it, go build your own system. Go build your own better government. I'm fucking trying. They won't let me leave. They won't let us leave because they want us slaves of their system that they control that has us believing we're free and self-determining. Oh, I vote, so I'm self-determining because I've had my say. No, you're a slave. You're in a pen. They've locked you in there. The lawyers have taken over. They're passing laws none of us want. And we think our only recourse is to protest and get them to change that law. No, we're here to tell you you can leave. You have the right to leave. And if they try to force you to stay, you're a political prisoner. And that's a violation of international law. And what we need is more people that want to leave, more people that want something better in this world. Because Again, you're only as free as your neighbor. You can only be as free as your fellow man. Otherwise, most of those fellow men are going to help keep you in that cage. They get pissed off. They see you out in that pasture and they say, look at that asshole out there. Look at Dean out there in that pasture eating that green grass and enjoying himself and running wherever he wants to at will. That's I have to be in this cage. Therefore, Dean has to be in this cage too. And that is the really fucked up thinking that we really have to combat with people, because we're out in that pasture saying, no, dude, come on. The door's right there, man. I know that farmer's there with that little bzzz, waiting to shock you when you try to run by. But trust me, just run. Just come out here with us. We got this pasture. It's friggin' great, man. You can just do whatever you want, eat in the sun, and we're healthy, and it's great. And we don't want you to be in that cage anymore. But the people that are scared to leave the cage want to keep us in there. They're trying to close the door. They're trying to say, don't let that guy out. If I'm going to be in here, he's going to be in here with me. And that's a big problem we got to combat too. Now that's, I've gotten it wrong in the past. What is that? Stockholm syndrome. I think they call that Stockholm syndrome, where you start to sympathize with your kidnappers, with the people who took you hostage. You start to defend them and say, well, yeah, we need these laws. We need this government. We need all this stuff because, somebody's got to do it. We got to have some law and order. So they've got you sympathizing with them. You've got Stockholm syndrome. Okay. You're in the Matrix. It is the beauty of that movie. You're in the Matrix. I hate using that as an example, but you really are. And you can't see the illusion, and you gotta start looking for it. And it is there. So we don't want to fight everybody out there. We actually want you to come out with us. Come on out with us, man. Let's leave no cows in the pen. That farmer's not going to make any money. He can't sell you at the beef auction next week because he's got no cows left in his pen. He's got no right to keep you in that pen. Stephen just Skyped me and said cognitive dissonance. Yes, that's exactly what it is. You are detached from reality. It's so bad you think that people like us are detached from reality. But it's the other way around. We're trying to tell you you're free and you have rights and that you're a slave. And these people don't have the right to steal your labor and your wealth and tell your kids what to do and take your kids and force their shit on you. And you're trying to say, no, you guys are crazy. I have to do what these people tell me to do. It's okay if they come steal my kids. I love popping soft drinks and getting cancer and crap garbage food. And I love being told what to do with my life day in, day out, and the way society is going. And I just don't believe that. You have dissociated with reality, and you need to come back to it. You need to get rid of the illusion. So that's what we're going to concentrate in our shows in the next little while, is talking about how to do that, how to do it effectively, how to do it for the common man. The average everyday man, not the hero that wants to go out there and just say, you know what, I don't care if I'm the only guy out here in the street. I'm going to stand up and say, no, come and shoot me. Fuck you. I don't care. Okay. There are some people like that out there. I'm one. I know many others, but we don't expect everybody to do that. So there's simple things we can all do to extricate ourselves from the system. Concentrate on your own health. Don't stop going to your doctors. These people that don't know health and nutrition anymore. Doctors aren't trained in health and nutrition. They're trained in chemicals and pharmacy, and they type in your symptoms now into a program, and the program tells them what to prescribe you. That's how bad it is. They don't know anything, except for like surgeons. You know what? I got all respect in the world for surgeons. I had surgeons repair me at one point. It's unbelievable what these surgeons can do with people now. But when you go to a doctor because you're sick, you're not going to get the help that you require, and that's a fact. So again, I just got Skyped another message. Yes, lose the fear. Fear is what has you caged into that little pasture that they've put a fence up around. When you've got the rest of the world out there that you were born into, you have a birthright to. You have a say in what happens with it. And if you don't want nuclear power and you want to live within your means and not be a consumer whore and just have some solar panels on your roof that can generate all the electricity you'll ever need without another power bill, then you need to start getting involved and saying that that's what you want and doing it, and not just protesting and trying to force the government to pass a law saying that we should not have nuclear power plants anymore, and waiting for the government to give me money to put solar panels on my house. They're not the solution. You are the solution. We are the solution. I am the solution. And we need to get back to that. And so we're going to talk about all these different solutions in upcoming episodes. So that's my opening initial rant. That's a mouthful. That covered a lot of topics. But now everybody knows where my head is at. I want to be peaceful at all times. Again, I don't believe in protesting. I don't believe that we should have to storm the Parliament building and start hanging people. We don't. We just have to stop giving them our power. We have to take our power back. They're irrelevant. They're nothing. In fact, I feel bad for them. They have very awful lives. They're going to die very horrible, painful deaths from cancer. They're not. Most of them are not good people. Some of them are, but they're just as deceived in the system. So we don't need to get violent. We don't need to go and force our will on other people. That's what they're doing to us now. We don't want to be hypocrites. We just want to be peaceful, educate ourselves, learn, and be the change. Live it. In reality, be real, and just start to change our lives incrementally at first, because there's always growing pains. Nobody's saying to jump right off the top of the building, head first and let's just go. No, it's incremental, but we do have to start because shit's getting bad real fast, really fast. So if we want to expand on anything, or if anybody's got any questions, what we'll do is we'll get Peter on here now, and we'll see if Peter has anything to add to any of that, or anything else he thinks that I should talk about or expand on that I maybe wasn't clear enough about to the people. So come on, Peter.
There we go. All right, I'm unmuted. Hey, you know what? This is the quietest show I've ever done. I mean, I'm listening to you, brother. I mean, wow, holy cow. I mean, I went an hour and 45 minutes. But, brother, you are succinct, direct. We are parallel in the paradigm shift, the mindset, because this is what I've been talking about for the last 3 years. I mean, I started Privatis.Me to give people a way back home. They have to start somewhere. So I created an accelerated 8-week curriculum that everybody can follow through on the mind, body, spirit. And I give it away for free to the planet. I've been giving it away for 2 years. So the price can't be the problem. The problem is if it's free, the problem is the cognitive dissonance says if it's free, it can't be worth shit. That's the problem with the mindset of the mind hack on the planet. So for all of those that are listening here today, what Dean was talking about, creating a way, a construct to break through all these barriers. And you can do them incrementally, folks, because yes, it is a very fast ride in my house. However, go start at the beginning. You gotta actually go, Dean, I broke it down into subsections on all 8 weeks with videos, information, like slavery, who owns you. There's a nice 5-page article that shows how you're a slave when you signed up to vote because you're sitting at the king's buffet table and he doesn't like when you throw meatballs in his head. If you don't like the king's buffet table, you got to do a push away. So
you don't need the Kardashians anymore. These people watching the 4 hours of the Kardashians at night, we have the internet. We have Peter that has videos online. I have videos online. There's thousands of videos online on YouTube. CCN is obviously a great place now, resource to get this stuff. If we support these institutions, they can grow and take over the establishment and be the new establishment created by us.
Yeah, but everybody's free to uncover it. And ironically, I've done 5 shows on, I actually I was redoing my 8-week construct and I put it all in video with all the links attached because people are having difficulty even clicking on a friggin' icon over at my house. So I said, okay, and they're already reposited over here at CCN. So under the Peter Eugene link, the last 5 weeks I did, the changes on the horizon, the links about the birth certificate, about the bonds, what goes on in court, the birth, I covered it all. So it's like, okay, now that I've blown your head up, where do you go from here? See, Gene, I didn't want to be a part of the problem. I said, okay, I got to get the shit out of their head because week 4 was about the compromise, the mind, the body, spirit, the GMOs, the fluoridated water, the shots, the chemtrails. So I created a construct and the religiosity. So I don't think I left too much out. So anyways, but you got to start somewhere because everything that they've been told is a bunch of shit and they've been lied to from cradle to the grave. And you know what? There's a way to fix all this, Dean. Isn't that beautiful? There's solutions on the planet. That's why I created this show called Solutions on the Planet. And you're aligned with it. And you're I'm glad I'm not the only voice in the woods, because we're being heard in a whole different realm. But I'm giving people sustainable information where they can start. See, it's one thing to tell people stuff nonchalantly. You've got to point them in a direction where to start. And I've been doing this for 2 years, but the cognitive dissonance does go far, wide, and deep. People even have difficulty watching my free tours. I have 3 free tours. Dean, I had to make a free tour so I could show them where all the portals in the house are. It's like picture word association. I can't make it any easier than this. I can't click on the link for you. I mean, our site is, there's nothing like Privatis.Me on the fucking planet. Nothing. Because I talk about Oregon energy. I talk about alternative energies. I talk about everything with my planet. I mean, I don't have the luxury of just being in one portal. I see the whole horizon, and I had to bring all these constructs together, because if you don't take care of mind, body, spirit, and bring it back home again, then guess what? You're missing the important parts of the puzzle, and you're going to continue to be sucked into the game.
Okay, well, let's just use some logic and deductive reasoning then here real quick, Peter. So right now, the average American is a very, very unhealthy, obese individual. Their lifestyle sucks. Everything about them is just awful. They prematurely age. They look terrible. Now, you live in the continental United States.
Yes.
You are living proof. And how old are you?
I'm 55, double nickels.
Okay, people. How many people want to look like Peter when they're 55? A lot of people.
I do.
So the proof is in the pudding. All right. You just have to look at Peter and realize, okay, maybe there is something to this eating right, and maybe there is something to being healthy, mind, body, and spirit. He's a happy guy. Look at how much energy he got. He's looking great. He feels great. He's a positive guy. Maybe there is something to this. When at 55, when 50% of Americans already have cancer, he's got another 55 years of good life left. Okay. So this is the kind of things you should be looking for. We're not talking shit up here. We're living proof of what we're trying to teach you. We want you to be healthy and happy. We want you to be free with us. We want you to have a good life. And we like, there's only so far we can drag you. You got to want to come yourself. We can't drag you out of Babylon. You got to want to come. So it is the simple thing. So Peter's proof of that down the stage. There's a lot of good people. It is very, very simple and incremental to do, just starting with simple shopping habits when you go to the grocery store. We're going to talk about that stuff. Again.
Oh, no. And Dean, excellent. See, this is what I talk about, the solutions. You've got, what's this, Mike Adams over at Natural News, bringing forth the new technology so everybody can grow dense nutrition. You don't even have to have a backyard. See, so you know what? It's what do you want? Where do you want to put your energy, folks? How do you want to be self-sufficient? I've got somebody over here. I'm doing a grow with. I got some non-GMO seeds. I don't give a shit at what the clowns in the circus say about my non-GMO seeds, because I'm not one of their damn slaves. See, some of these people here in Colorado got to get their crap together, because about a year and a half ago, I ran a link, and people were actually, for a privilege, we're actually going to get a $50 Walmart card to register their goddamn gardens. You can't make this crap up. You're going to register your garden, people? Snap out of it. Come on. Yeah, you're waiting. Because, now they come out. Yeah, if you got 1,000 tomato plants, and they're not the GMO kind, well, you're competing with us. But we can't make money at the store. See, hey, you know what? Pull the plug, folks. Self-sufficiency. And Dean, I cover this on so many different levels. I mean, that Ty Bollinger call I just did Tuesday, he gives away an alternative newsletter to the freaking planet. This is one of my stellar star brothers sharing the love on this planet. So I want to cover everything, but at the same time, people gotta dig in. Freedom with responsibility takes. You gotta actually make a conscious decision, but you gotta be conscious to make the decision, and that's what's happened with the food supply, the fluoride, the chemtrails. I have beautiful audios, free audios with informations on Celtic salt, how it removes all the aluminum from your brain so you can actually start thinking, the cells start communicating. Simple modalities like magnesium chloride, food grade hemp powder without THC in it. It restructures your blood pressure, your organs. I mean, bro, when I got on the hemp powder 3 years ago, I went from 185 to 150 in a matter of 3 months. So, gee, and and every now and then I graze. I'm not perfect yet, but I apple cider vinegar with distilled water. Very, very good for the body to make it nice and alkaline so crap doesn't set up on my body. I did a nice 5-mile walk before we come on the show. See, I actually do exercise. You got to get your ass out the bat cave, folks. You can't be sitting in dead man's land because you need some vitamin D from the sunshine. That's bullshit on the skin cancer scam. And speaking of cancer, oh, bro, there's a 19-minute video on how to make your own damn paste. I got this paste that'll blow your mind. It's 10,000-year history on cannabis. Nobody's talking about the paste. They're just talking about the oil. And the paste is easier to make. You don't have to throw out the whole pound. You can use that whole pound because you slow cook it and it brings up the terpenes, the CBDs, the THC. Brother, I take a little scoop of this shit, and it's like I went and partied with the Indians. You know, a lot of people don't like the high, but that's, you know, it's not about the high. It's restructuring the endocannabinoids in my body. So this is part of making my machine right, and it does open up that damn third eye a little bit.
Well, let's ask you a question, Peter. Is this something that people have to pay for or buy from you, or people like you?
No, I just have, there's a 19-minute video put out by Brad over here in Colorado. I posted the link. Matter of fact, I did a show with him, and it's over on my International Cannabis Patients wall. I had to create another link on the cannabis, but I also talk about other constructs like liposomal C, Nigella sativa, all these different constructs that they really rather me not talk about. And I put them over in a repository over at my International Cannabis Patients wall, but nobody knows how to click on the link yet.
Well, we'll get that figured out. So what you're saying is this stuff is all available for free to people. We're not.
Yeah, there you go. But because my price tag's too shitty.
We're not trying to profit off you. Yeah, we're not trying to sucker you into buying some new product that doesn't work. We're trying to tell you that there's alternatives out there, and we're doing it for free because we care about what happens to this planet.
Yep.
Okay. So that's, people should there's no excuse in this day and age to be uninformed and to not care anymore.
Yep. Okay?
You can't remain apathetic. Apathy is the biggest disease on this planet right now. Apathetic. When you have apathy, you don't care, you don't have an opinion either way, you're just a dead, apathetic entity. That is the biggest disease on this planet. And there's no reason to be uninformed anymore. When people like Peter, everybody else I talk to, and we're going to have guests on, we're going to talk about many other names. Peter's on today. People like Peter has made every effort to try to make these kind of things available to people. We're not doctors. We're not professionals. But you know what? I'm not a licensed carpenter either, but I do better work than licensed carpenters. I don't have a license to do concrete. Well, you better believe I do better concrete than anybody out there, if there even is a such thing for being a licensed carpenter, okay? There's people out there that are not licensed by the existing dogmatic institutions that do have some better alternatives than what these doctors are presenting, than what these lawyers are presenting. And we're trying to give it to you for free and just say, you make the choice, and we're not charging you for it. It's just, it's here. We think you should know. Have at her. So that's, again, this is not people trying to sell you products. We are actually, we're concerned about our own freedom and health and your freedom and health.
Yeah, Dean, this is an education for the rest of your life. And guess what? It's going to change your life. Just like Ty Bollinger writing that book, Cancer Outside the Box. When I read that 10 years ago, I knew he was right. Everything, because he lost 7 family members. So I knew where he was at. And I understood about the alternatives. I've been researching alternatives even as a child. I was actually reading books like by this one named Adele. I can't remember her last name. My mom had this book sitting around, and she's talking about dense nutrition and these alternatives. I was 10 years old, dude, and I'm cracking the book. You know, it's like, wow, this is really neat shit. Well, folks, it really is neat shit when you are self-empowered, and you will never be, I'll never die from fucking cancer. I'm looking for the Mack truck or somebody Skyping or texting on when I'm doing my power walk. It might run me over and make me a foot ornament. That's probably how
the self-empowering thing you just brought up is actually perfect. That's something I should have talked about. I don't know how many people out there have felt that powerlessness of being completely at the mercy of doctors and lawyers. Like, you can't do anything. They don't get back to you right away, or you're bad advice or this and that, or you're put through the system where takes them 4 years to diagnose you. You feel so powerless in this system. And everything we're trying to tell you to go out and research is self-empowering. And you feel it when people walk into court the first times and they represent themselves, except I don't like the word represent, but we're just trying to keep things simple here. when you present yourself before the court, you speak for yourself, and you know your rights, you feel so empowered. And when you can cure yourself of some sickness you've got, or change your life for the better and change your own health without having to go to a doctor, it's so self-empowering. You just feel, oh, it's like, yeah, like, you know, you're just like, fuck yeah, like I can do this. And you get motivated, you want to do more, and you get right into it. So it is quite empowering, and it really it changes your life. So add to that all you want.
Anyways, you know, it's ironic because I've been beating the brakes off my significant others. Those are my two children over in Florida and my ex, and they're finally getting the memos. They stopped drinking soda pop. I've been telling them to get off the damn Coke because the sodium crap is eating their kidneys and everything. My daughter, you know, I'm really proud. They're juicing. They're starting to do juicing, so I'm really proud. I'm actually, I rubbed off on some of my own, you know, because they're actually listening. And I talked to my daughter over the weekend, and it's really nice to see that, you know, all my ranting for all these years hasn't been in vain, you know, because I don't want them dying a horrendous death, even though Daddy knows how to fix all cancers. By the way, speaking of cancer, brother, over at the International Cannabis Patients Wall, I have the 121 National Institute of Health studies. You said there's no studies? I got all the fucking studies. The government studies. They did the studies, and it cures every cancer on the planet. So guess what, folks? If you're looking for the truth, go over to International Cannabis Patients Wall, type it in, and go drop down, scroll down, and go get the 121 National Institute of Health reports by the government showing every cancer that it can fix. And I'm not just talking the oil, the paste. Brother, nobody's talking about the paste. I mean, hey, the Egyptians were doing this thousands of years ago, putting the pounds of weed in these clay pots and then putting oil in them and let them emulsify in the sun, and it brings forth all the terpenes. They were making the medicine many, many thousands of years ago. So, folks, just because you haven't heard about it, because you've been lied to from the Scumbags Are Us Club. Oh, by the way, I gotta give a boot for Ty, because he's coming out. Hey, he's got a 10-day quest for the cure starting today, as a matter of fact. God, today's Monday, isn't it? Anyways, yeah, the quest for the cures, which he gives away for free, and he gives tonight's class or whatever for the quest for cures gives the whole history of how they twisted this whole thing upside down. It's beautiful, and it's the history class you won't get in America from the mainstream media.
Yeah, well, it's not conspiracy theory that, yes, the government has known what the cure for cancer is, multiple cures for cancer for many, 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 many decades, going all the way back to the Gerson Clinic when it first operated in the United States and was run out of the United States for curing people. And they're still down in Mexico curing people the same way they have since Dr. Gerson first came up with all his theories that turned out to be correct, with just juicing vegetables, good organic vegetables, proving that cancer is a deficiency and not a disease of any kind. It is a deficiency from a shitty lifestyle and chronic acidosis from eating terrible foods that create your body, that create an acidic environment to your body, so it can eat and stuff like that can thrive. So this information's all out there. We got less than a minute left. So I didn't get a chance to let you speak a whole lot, but I need you near the end there anyways. I just didn't want to have 2 hours of me ranting, and just to kind of cover a few more topics and make sure I didn't leave anything out. It's nice to have that direction around. But Peter's around, these great people and at CCN are around now to provide you hopefully with whatever you need for your learning. My website is out there as well. I got deanclifford.info, and I'm on Facebook, but we're going to be expanding deanclifford.info into forums and other things that people can join to get involved so they can learn and help us with our divestment projects we have coming up. So that's all available to people. You just got to go and look it up. I think we might have a graphic for deanclifford.info on the broadcast here. I'm not sure. I asked about that, but I'm not.
Yeah, he usually puts up my Privatis.Me. So if anybody's looking for where my house is, where I give away all these free goodies, folks, and it might say the life you might save might be your own. Privatis, Privatis.me, and
it's all out there.
Free tours. It's all out there. We're sharing the love, Dean. This is called sharing the love.
Yep. So that's it, I guess, for this episode. We'll start to get into a proper schedule for next week, but that's the stuff we're going to be talking about, simplified for the common man. And again, there's no excuse for not being informed. Inform yourself, empower yourself. Let's get educated. Let's make this world a better place.
You got it. Thank you very much, Dean. Keep on trucking. Thank you, Biggie. All right, we'll catch you guys on the